Say pledge of allegiance. It's Senator Abbas
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the memo I sent out, I had suggested we start with House Bill 10, but we are going to hold that because a lot of things have come up and we need to wait for that one. So the next,
Senator, you need to go into executive session.
pardon?
You need a motion to go into executive session.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All those in favor of executive session?
Aye.
The Senate Education Committee will be in executive session. So having left 10, holding 10, the next one will be 76. And I'm looking for an.
Actually, that's one of the ones that Senator Prentice had an amendment for.
On
She's
76?
introducing yes, she's introducing a bill right now. Yeah. She
Do you
had
wanna
amendments on 76 and 440.
Do you want to introduce it? Senator O'Shea? Do you want
Her
to?
amendment?
Yeah.
I love,
So,
I think she wants to speak to it, so
does she want to do it herself?
I think so, yeah.
Can we just
It's her
do-
amendment. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Wait. I mean, I'm happy to if you want to keep moving. She's in this building somewhere.
Well, we have an
Introducing
amendment
a bill?
to House Bill 76 by Senator Prentice. And I need a motion on the amendment.
Well, move House Bill, move House Bill 76 ought to pass.
It's Amendment 15671.
Did we open?
Yeah.
I don't think we opened the hearing on it.
Okay.
I mean, the executive session on it, did we?
We did.
We did, okay. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Amendment 1571. Yes. 1571.
Okay, give us a,
And thank you. This Senator Prentice amendment to House Bill 76, which creates says the department shall establish and maintain an internal tracking system so that the state complaints are in a space where all of the information that might have to be redacted doesn't necessarily have to be because it'll be internally. And then when it is requested, the department will make summaries available of all those complaints, which I believe was in the original bill, and their outcomes within a month or 30 days of the final decision. And in order to abide by FERPA, we have Part A, the dates that the complaint was filed are part of the public summary, the summary of the complaint, the determinations of fact, and the conclusions that the department reached about the complaint and what corrective action was required and then subsequently taken by the respondent. And with the originally requested annual report by July 1st. And with the report containing all the things I believe are in the original bill.
okay? So we have this
So it's-
amendment to 76.
Yes.
I need a motion on the amendment.
I move amendment 1571S ought to pass.
Is there a second? Okay, there is no second.
I think we have a motion of 76 up and ought to pass.
To pass on, we're underlying Bill 76.
Yeah, I believe Senator Alshaler made the motion.
Yeah, I'm withdrawing my motion of ought to pass.
So I will make a motion of ought to pass on House Bill 76 FN.
Second.
To pass, seconded, and all those in favor of to pass on 76?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 1, 2,
No,
3, 2, 1. Okay,
Move for consent.
so 76 ought to pass 3 to 1.
Madam Chair, can I move for consent?
I don't know, can we do consent with 3 to 1?
We can as long as everybody agrees.
Do you all agree to put this on consent?
Yeah.
no.
Okay, it goes on consent. 76 goes on consent.
No. Objection.
Senator Alshaler objected.
Yeah.
So it's not on consent.
The next bill we have is,
Who's taking the bill out?
the what?
Who's taking the bill out?
I'll take it.
Sullivan will take it out. The next bill is House Bill 90. And I'm looking for an ought to pass on that one.
I'll make a motion ought to pass on Senate Bill 90 FN.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to ought to pass and a second. Any discussion?
Yep, this is, well, I would like. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So this is another chip away at certification for teachers. And, bringing people in that are not certified teachers as, to fill the space of a teacher without having any instructions at all on classroom management, on how to fulfill a 504 plan, on how to fulfill IEPs, I think opens up some real problems for the school systems. And so for those reasons, unless we were going to put in a caveat that this was if and only if the high school has not been able to fill a role with a certified teacher. But I can count and read the room, and I don't think there's an appetite for that, but that would be why I am not supporting this bill.
So we have an amendment. We're asking to do it, the Representative Ladd has suggested it, and he actually discussed it at the hearing as well. So we can add, he wants the D in the bill, that's line 11 through 14, have D replaced by this amendment. Is authorized to teach an approved college level or concurrent enrollment course in the high school that has the same quality and rigor as the courses offered on campus at the sponsoring college or university. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to move amendment 2025-1514H.
I'll second that. All those in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Senator Alshaler?
No,
No, okay,
I'm no too.
that's 3 to 1.
No, I'm no.
You're a no?
Yeah, I'm a no.
Okay, so that's 2-2, so it doesn't go anywhere.
Doesn't go anywhere. So then we're still in the main bill.
So that amendment doesn't go anywhere, it's 2-2. So the underlying bill without the amendment, 90. I have an ought to pass and I have a second. All those in favor of 90?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
No,
3-1. Put it on consent?
Move for consent?
Second.
no,
Consent?
nope.
Oh, so that's okay.
You do the vote, make sure you're doing it. The yeses, the all opposed, no, the other.
Okay. You want me to do that, go through it now? Or with the next one?
Just don't.
The next one, okay. That was 90.
Who's taking out the bill?
The next bill is House Bill 319.
Senator, we need someone to take out the bill.
Pardon?
We need someone to take the bill out.
I'll take it.
I think there's something that I'm missing here.
No, I said I'll take the bill out. He needed someone to take the bill out. I
Oh,
said I'll take
that
it.
bill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now we're on 319.
Are we on 319 now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I'll move ought to pass on House Bill 319.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion. This is the removes the requirement the school district provide transportation to half-day kindergarten students.
This takes away opportunity for some students to be able to attend daycare. So it's,
Excuse me, so this isn't about daycare. This is supposed to be
I'm
about
sorry, kindergarten,
kindergarten.
kindergarten.
It said local school district may furnish transportation to pupils in half-day kindergarten programs.
Mhm.
Right.
Full-day kindergarten through grade 8 who live 2 miles or less from the school to which they are assigned.
So schools that have a half-day kindergarten already have a very limited time to be able to connect with these children. And then if you put in a barrier of transportation, it makes it even harder. So, requiring students to walk or try to require parents to to run around and create, ride shares is, for a program that should be available to all the students in a district.
Any other? Senator Sullivan.
So, yeah, kindergarten is not mandatory in our state. So having for the half-day kindergarten, this doesn't say that districts are not going to provide transportation. It says they may provide transportation. So now it's left to their budgeting and to see what they can do. In some districts, there's a shortage of bus drivers and they're struggling to fulfill some of these needs. So I think that this gives the control back to the school district to decide what's best for their families.
Any further discussion? We'll have an ought to pass with a second on House Bill 319. Those vote in favor of ought to pass?
Aye.
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 Nope.
There's 3-1. On consent?
No.
And I can take that on since you're taking.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay,
You can't nudge me. Come on.
it's 319. Next one is House Bill 440. Looking for an ought to pass on that one.
Second.
Then we'll see, we have ought to pass in a second on it.
Say it.
So during the
Did you make the
hearing,
motion on to
I vote to pass.
You did, okay.
And I see that we have an amendment.
Yeah, that was the amendment from Senator Prentice that brought charter schools into it as well. And we had a conversation about how charter schools are already in law have,
Wait. So this one has been included, certification
Yeah.
of teachers, supervisors, rules. Oh, I see what she did here. Educational. Scores. Turn them. Keep this out. They pass.
Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Amendment 1570S
Yep,
from Senator Prentice. And the change from the original bill is on line 10, which would require the previous certification requirements to also apply to this teaching staff of chartered public schools.
Senator Sullivan.
so we had discussed this, it's in law for the charter schools, how they hire their teachers, their instructors, and they don't have to apply to the same standards because that's the whole point of the charter schools. They have more leniency and creativity in what they're doing. So I think this would hurt the charter schools by adding them to this bill.
Any other discussion?
Respectfully, this actually helps the students who attend charter schools by making sure that those teachers that teach in those charter schools are actually qualified to be teachers.
I know that at least 50% of the teachers in charter schools have to be certified teachers.
Or have 3 years experience in their field. So I'm confident in the charter school teachers and the way that we have it set up right now. We've got some excellent schools and I don't want to infringe on the work that they're doing there.
And Madam Chair, policy consideration aside, by adding charter schools to this now, they weren't really involved in the public hearing per se, because they weren't part of the bill. So perhaps if we were to consider this, it maybe should be a standalone as a separate bill, different times.
To keep it separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so have an ought to pass. All those in favor of ought to pass on the
Aye.
amendment? And? No?
No.
Ask all opposed.
All those opposed?
No,
No,
No. So that's 1, 2, 3. So that amendment does not pass. Okay, the underlying bill. On 440. I have an ought to pass with a second. All those in favor of ought to pass?
aye.
aye.
Aye. Senator Oshko?
Nope,
Nope. It's 3-1. Put it on consent?
no.
And who wants to take it out? Abbas?
My turn. You can have it if you want.
It's okay. That's okay. I don't want to be selfish.
Wait till you see the judiciary calendar.
Stop. 571, House Bill 571. Pass. The bill requires public schools to dedicate one session during the week of Constitution Day to exercise of a patriotic nature. And this year, I guess it's on September 10. So have a motion on the bill?
I'll make a motion of ought to pass.
Second? Any discussion?
Yeah, so actually attended one of the joint school board meetings in my district, and we were going over all of the crossover bills, and this is yet another obligation that we are putting upon the public schools to fill with no funding behind it, no guidance behind it, and you know, they're asking us to please stop piling on them. And this is nothing to do with whether Constitution Day is valid in patriotic exercises, and everything to do with not piling more on the public schools and only the public schools to fulfill yet another project from the legislature. So I'm going to fulfill the request from my district to vote no on this.
Okay,
Well, Madam
Any
Chair, I'll
further
just say that
discussion?
the New Hampshire Constitution, the federal Constitution, these are free online for anyone to look at. And if you're gonna make this as part of the, a teaching requirement, I can't imagine what the cost is other than printing out the document. And I think I think this is great for kids to learn in school. I just, you'd be surprised how many people don't even realize there's individual state constitutions, adults, never mind kids. So this is, I think, a great thing. And if they have the option to bring in speakers or whatever instructional materials to tailor it what fits their school the best. I think this is a good thing.
so I have a motion also passed and a seconded of 571. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nope,
make a motion for consent.
nope.
Okay, that's 3-1.
Point of order.
Thank you.
I think I made a motion and we have to listen to the motion before it's just shot down, right?
What was that?
Never mind, we can move on.
I have an auto pass of 3-1. Put it on consent, 3-1, with one opposing.
I believe Senator from
Awesome.
District 24 opposed the consent calendar.
Yeah, before we, yeah.
So,
We didn't have an actual vote. She just immediately opposed it.
Okay. I'll take it from the top. Okay. I have an ought to pass on House Bill 571. And it ought to pass with the motion and a second. And those in favor of ought to pass were 1, 2, 3, and one person opposed.
Yes.
One opposed.
Okay, 3-1. Then there was a motion to put it on consent.
And I objected.
We have one objection and 3 in favor, so that's 3-1.
Ryan?
it just moving forward, so it would be make a motion to consent, second, and then take a vote on it, and then the vote would, in theory, be 3-1 in this case, and then
Okay.
it would not go on consent. Is that,
Yeah, thank you.
Motion to consent, 3-1. I'll take it out.
Six, seven?
The next bill is House Bill 667.
I would make a motion ought to pass on House Bill 667.
The second? I'll second it
And for discussion,
for discussion.
okay. So I would suggest a committee amendment that had just the video of the development of the child, because a lot of the other things are covered in the health education standards. So it would just be in addition to what we already have as far as the health academic standards that talk about sexual behaviors that result in HIV, infection, other STDs, unintended pregnancy. So it would just be added to what we have in the educational standards.
Senator Sullivan, you want to delete some of the language here?
Yeah, so I want to see. I would make a motion to have a committee amendment that shall include appropriate and medically accurate sexually. A lot of this is already in there. Include a presentation of high quality computer generated animation of or ultrasound video that shows the development of the heart brain. And I think leave in adoption because I don't see that that's actually in the standards for adoption.
Okay, so
Where do you see abstinence in the standards?
do you want to
Where,
read?
could you point that out?
Um,
You want to read, the health curriculum shall include age-appropriate and medically
right.
accurate sexuality education. Including, instead of including presentation of a high quality.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
And you're taking out instruction relative to abstinence, adoption, healthy relationships.
I mean, if you want to keep it in, we can, but we were talking the other day about this. And a lot of what is covered is in the health stand. I think everybody has a copy of the health standards
Yep.
throughout. And on page 108, it says how to make a personal commitment to abstain from sexual intercourse. The most students are not engaging in sexual intercourse, and so it is absolutely in there. Talk about sexual behavior, healthy relationships. So these HIV on page 110, HIV, STDs, pregnancy prevention, again, 110, abstinence, contraception.
The STDs is also in the same RSA in the
Yeah,
previous section, which I assume when they talk about transmission of sexually transmitted diseases, I can imagine that contraception and abstinence may come up during that conversation.
yeah, and in the, talks about healthy relationships in the standards as well. So we would, I think, yeah, just what you had just read, I think is
So let me just
appropriate.
read it. In Roman numeral 2-A. The health curriculum shall include age-appropriate and medically accurate sexuality education, including presentation of a high-quality computer-generated animation or ultrasound video that shows the development of the heart, brain, and other vital organs in early fetal development.
Yeah, I think, I don't see adoption in here, so I think keeping adoption in there is also relevant.
Yeah, but that's sort of a totally different thing, though.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna have a gestational development, and then you're gonna talk about adoption in the same thing.
well, in the health it's in the health curriculum section.
In here, right,
Yeah,
yes.
I think what, Madam Chair, if I may rephrase what you said, is when you're talking about, the high quality computer generated animation or the ultrasound video showing the development of vital organs, I think for subject matter purposes, the word adoption doesn't really flow into that section. Is that,
I'll concede to that. We can make it a different vote for everyone.
So where
I'll
do you want,
concede.
do you wanna add adoption in there?
No, I'll concede to that makes sense. So
Okay.
I'll concede to that. We'll keep it just the way you said.
Okay. Did you get that?
So it would be deleting from instruction to include, through include.
The health curriculum shall include age-appropriate and medically accurate sexuality education, including presentation of a high-quality computer-generated animation or ultrasound video that shows the development of the heart, brain, and other vital organs in early fetal development. Okay?
So what does high quality mean? Like, who determines this high quality?
I guess if you can actually see it. And it's sometimes you have a video that is very fuzzy, you can't really tell what it is. And I don't know how you can define heart high quality, except that you know what when you see it.
Well, if we're not going to define it, why are we putting it in statute?
Because you want to be able to see it. You don't want a blurry presentation of a video.
So the high quality refers to the video quality, not the content quality.
Yeah, the quality of the video.
The video, what you're looking at, not the content.
I think well, what exactly are you thinking?
I'm thinking that that high quality computer generated animation
Yeah.
What is the content? Who makes this content? Whose ultrasound video? And what ultrasound video shows the development of the heart, brain, and other vital organs? Ultrasound videos, we don't take ultrasound videos over the course of any pregnancy. That's not something that exists in the world. Ultrasound videos are short moments in time. So you're asking to produce something that mimics what would be an ultrasound video or come up with a cartoon. So we're asking schools to come up with a cartoon or buy a cartoon or buy an ultrasound video that mimics an actual ultrasound video, because there is no such thing as an ultrasound video that shows the development of a human heart, brain, or other vital organs. Which ones? Are we putting in spleen, pancreas? What are we talking about? Lungs? Like, this is so undefined.
Madam Chair, if I may, respectfully, if the last time I was at the Museum of Science, which was about a year ago, they have an exhibit on this, and I wouldn't call it a cartoon. I don't think it's a fair characterization of it. It's a digitally enhanced automation or animation, all right? And it doesn't look anything like a cartoon. It is computer generated images, which is not, it's not the same thing. When it comes to what's a vital organ, I mean, we'll talk about lungs, for example, right? At certain stages, you know, a child who's born, if they're born premature, can't breathe on their own if they're born too early, right? So I think talking about teaching the development of those lungs, of when the child, if someone goes into premature labor, that's something that should be taught, right?
Yeah.
So that's a vital organ. I think lungs are a vital organ. Vital means you need the organ to survive, and I think showing the development of those is important, particularly the heart and the brain. I think are obviously two of the main ones that are expressly stated therein. So I don't see. I guess my concern is I'm not sure what the objection is, other than you don't understand what high quality means, which I think
We're not defining it. We're not defining whether the high quality is the audio, the video, the content. It's just kind of random. And to your point, all of the curriculum that you're talking about belongs in a biology class, which is sophomore year biology, not health curriculum in 6th grade.
So you think this is not age appropriate material?
I'm saying that this is undefined. We don't know what the material is, so we can't tell if it's age appropriate, because it's also, you know, we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know where it is. There's no standards that this is set on. You know, we talked about, we had a bill in judiciary about not naming a specific company that produces information, but talking about the type of company, the evidence-based research. None of that is mentioned here. So there's no evidence-based research. There's no evidence-based best practices mentioned in here.
So would you
Senator
support that?
Sullivan?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, first of all, I trust the teachers to be able to figure out what high quality is. They do it every single day, trying to decide which curriculum they give to kids. Like, when Common Core came in, that's all we heard about, was that the teachers were able to download from the web anything that they needed to be able to give to children, because we didn't have textbooks, and that's what we were told. So we trust the teachers to do that every single day. But in a very quick Google search, I found Pregnancy, a month-by-month guide 3D animation by Dr. Pauline Moyart that has 6.7 million views. So it's a 4-minute video that covers the whole development of a child, and it's in a 3D animation. So, and that's very high quality. So I don't think this is a huge lift. I think we could.
So who's that doctor, and who does the doctor work for, and what is that video? What was that video produced for? And is that something that's appropriate to bring into curriculum? These are all the questions. Like, any one of us is capable of Googling pretty much anything and coming up with a video. It doesn't mean that it's appropriate for our curriculum. And if we're going to trust the teachers, then why are we telling them that they have to do Constitution Day? So, I mean, if we're going to trust the teachers, let's trust the teachers. But let's not, you know, use that argument selectively because we want to force fetal development videos into the public schools and only the public schools.
And I think it's relevant to the conversation that Senator Abbas said that we can trust the teachers to find the information for the Constitution Day. It's the same conversation.
But we're gonna make 'em
we
do it.
Tell them about curriculum all the time.
Okay, I don't think that we need to micromanage the teachers. I think they're perfectly capable of finding a video. And Senator Sullivan just mentioned there is certainly one available. So I don't think we need to discuss this much more because high quality, we know it when we see it. High quality animation or ultrasound. And we have it, it's available. And I think that we spell out exactly word for word what the teacher can and cannot do. I think we have to assume that they know what to do and they have the flexibility to use their judgment for some of these things.
So why don't we throw into the committee amendment instruction, information about abortion healthcare, because that is a significant part of reproductive healthcare.
I agree. I would second that and have a video
Awesome.
on what an abortion looks like. Same context. We'll have a video of what an abortion actually looks like.
If I may,
At what stage,
Now, wait a minute.
Senator
One at the-
Sullivan?
One at a time.
Who's which videos are we talking
I'm
about?
agreeing with you.
No, actually, you're not.
the difference.
Senator Abbas?
I understand the point and point well taken, but in respect to abortion and when it gets into that, that's really a conversation the student should be having with their doctor. But teaching that, now you're getting into really, I think, more medical advice type of things. But this is teaching about the development of a
Right.
fetus. So I think having an illustration of that in a animated video, I think is the best way to teach it. It's, I think, to me, like having a visual would be the one easy way to do that. I think when we get into the other subject of abortion, now we're talking about, it's a completely, when I say it's a different subject, I'm not sure it doesn't fit in here, just like adoption, I don't think fit in this section. I think that would be a different section.
Okay,
And if the committee wants to go that way, I
so
think
we'll
that's
leave that out.
it's a conversation for a different day as well.
Let's get back to the bill. I have a motion ought to pass in a second on House Bill 667, and we've taken out,
We have to adopt the committee amendment.
Do a vote on the committee amendment.
yes, and we have to adopt the change that we have made here to the committee amendment.
So
Now,
do I
you
need to-
all know what the committee amendment is going to be? Or
Yes.
should I read it again?
So I make a motion
Can
that
you
we
read it
adopt.
again, please?
Pardon?
Could you read it again, please, Ryan?
Uh,
Or whoever, could you read it again?
You want me to read it again? Okay. Roman numeral dash little a. The health curriculum shall include age-appropriate and medically accurate sexuality education, including presentation of a high-quality computer-generated animation or ultrasound video that shows the development of the heart, brain, and other vital organs in early fetal development. That is the committee amendment. I need a motion on the committee amendment,
I make a motion to adopt the committee amendment.
Second,
and I have a second. All those in favor of the committee amendment?
Aye.
Aye,
aye.
No.
okay,
Point of order.
point of order.
The
What is your point of order?
chairwoman has to then say any opposed, and then we have the vote.
Any opposed?
No.
No, no, no,
I'm gonna abstain.
I think that you are excused from voting.
I had two
Yeah.
bills, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, can we put this on consent?
No.
Are we? I
No,
know,
thank you.
We gotta, then ought to pass as amended. I think.
So I make a motion not to pass as amended.
Second,
667.
You know what? It's great happening.
We have to vote,
Yes.
we have to vote on not to pass as amended.
Okay, that's okay. House Bill 667. The underlying bill with the committee amendment. I need a motion
To pass as amended.
second,
to pass with amendment. In a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I'll take this one out.
3-1. Can I put it on consent?
Move for consent?
I'll second.
Consent?
Aye.
You have to ask. no, All,
Opposed?
all favor, all in favor. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Yeah, no.
3-1.
I thought we were gonna get
Jump
that
right
one.
in.
I could have swore we
Okay,
had that one.
that's 667.
That was 667. This is, yeah, here we are. That one's held. This one I haven't.
The next one we have is House Bill 741.
A motion to re-refer?
I have a motion to re-refer. And a second? A re-refer?
I'm just like starting to swim in the pool. So 741, we refer?
Yes.
That was the motion, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 741, re-refer.
I can, it's, yeah, yeah. it's a refer. Oh, yeah. There's, it's been-
Any discussion?
I know I'm coming into this a little bit late and I thank you for your indulgence, but I think we refer is smart, considering all of the like types of bills and that I think need to be examined in from one lens. And you're grinning at me, Senator Abbas, and
I agree, I agree with you, it's very smart to re-refer this.
yeah, it's because
you
you
made
made
the
the motion. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Any further discussion on re-refer on 741? Okay, all those in favor of re-refer?
Aye.
Aye. Senator Prentice?
Aye.
Senator Altman?
I,
That's 5-0.
No, I'm opposed.
To what? You're opposed to it?
I am.
Okay.
I want to pass, I would have voted to pass it.
Okay, so it's 4-1.
Move for consent?
Yes.
Consent?
I-
All
I-
those in
yes.
favor of consent?
Aye.
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 sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? None, so that's 4-1. Oh, you in favor of the consent?
Yeah. I'm fine with consent.
You're against the consent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're
So
against
that's
consent?
4-1.
No, I'm for consent. Yes, I'm yes, okay with consent. No, I am not against consent.
We got one on consent?
Okay, who wants to take it out?
I can take it out.
Abbas will take it out. We have some time. Do you want to take a look at some of the other bills that are not on the list that we could possibly second? Any other ones that we did yesterday?
Ryan, what was the, what did we do with 76?
That was ought to pass.
How about Math Learning and Communities Program?
Pass the 3-1. Solve it.
Okay, thank you.
The math one, I'm okay with that one. Where's that one?
You do 495 relative to the Math Learning Communities Program?
So what number?
494.
494?
Yeah.
And I'll do the EpiPen.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which one is
I
the
mean,
EpiPen
49
number?
We're gonna do 494
EpiPen number
first.
is
That's okay.
677.
No worries.
Yeah, let's do 494, House Bill 494.
You're on 494.
The bill makes changes to the Math Learning Communities Program in public secondary schools. We heard Representative Ladd talking about that our kids who have problem understanding math and they need extra help to get hold of math concepts. So this is a program, and it sounds good to me. This math is a very fundamental.
Here, am I interested? No, okay.
Have you had a chance to take a look at it?
I think it's a good bill. I think it's good policy.
You like it?
I like it, yeah.
Okay.
Math is, It's an underrated subject. I think people don't realize how often they use not just math, but
I
that
know.
part of your brain.
Okay, do I have motion on the bill, 494?
Move on to pass.
What did you say?
Ought to pass.
Oh, to pass.
A second.
Well, I have a second. Discussion.
Senator Brent.
No, I think I'm still trying to settle in. I just need to like get my bearings straight.
Okay.
I thought you might have something to say on this, Senator Sullivan, because you had some comments during the hearing. I mean, I agree with the bill and, just thinking about, now my daughter turned 28 today, but thinking about trying to help her with math
Yeah.
versus the math that I learned, like we're in a place where it has become, I think, a very slippery slope and that this is an opportunity for us to like build a better foundation.
I agree, and I think this is a
Yeah.
first step. I think we need to go backward and look at some of the other things. I was looking at a video of the former Commissioner Virginia Berry that came to Manchester when we were fighting the Common Core standards when they changed. And in the video, she, the school board said, parents are complaining they can't help their kids with the math, they don't understand it. And she said, it's not their place to. And so I think that was the beginning of the end, right? Parents felt disconnected. They couldn't help their kids with the math. No one understood the lattice and all the other stuff that was happening. And I think conversations that happened yesterday where they're talking about kind of rolling back the math to the old ways. And I put this out on social media too, and people are like, this is really important to everybody. Like they understand there's a problem, not just here at Ashley, but New Hampshire people are very concerned about what's happening with their kids in math, and I feel like we need to really address this. And I think it's the first step, and maybe we can roll back and talk about what we can do in the younger grades, maybe, and going forward.
This is supplemental for the kids.
Yeah, but if it works, then it can be a bigger
Yeah,
program.
Absolutely. Any further discussion? Are you ready to vote on this bill? 494 FN, ought to pass with a second. All those in favor of ought to pass?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5-0.
Make a motion for consent.
Motion for consent.
Second. I'll second
All
the
those in
consent
favor?
motion.
A motion for consent?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Opposed? 5-0.
Senator Ward?
Yes, Senator
Oh.
Prentice.
And again, thank you for indulging me as the late comer today. It looks like I missed Senate Bill 90, and this is
So
already,
that was a long time ago.
I know, is there, am I able to make a motion for reconsideration to reopen the discussion? I want to,
Well, let me finish this.
okay,
first,
I want to know
okay?
if the amendment got passed. All right.
I'll take it out. Take it out, 494.
I don't even remember this one.
Now, can we do the EpiPen before we go back?
EpiPen?
Yeah, sure.
What number is that?
House Bill 677
Oh, you know what?
was a discussion of having a supply of EpiPens at the schools. Senator Prentice.
I am hesitant to make a motion on this right now, only because there's language in there about assistive personnel having, which I agree with, that it's not just the school nurse or, could it be a teacher or someone else who's considered assistive, who's trained, not just, they would have the supply, but who also could administer the epinephrine. But the way the language was written, the language was written, what concerned me is that I think we need to tighten up lines 19 through 21 that says, designated assistive personnel shall be identified by the school nurse in consultation with the principal to ensure as many hours as possible of the school day are covered by at least one assistive person. And I think the intent is great, but I wonder if it opens up some type of, potentially a liability or a can of worms. I'd like that to be more directed. And Senator Sullivan, you mentioned during the hearing, and I appreciate that you brought up the Good Samaritan law. So where that would conflict here is if it's a job responsibility, then you don't have, you don't have good SAM coverage. It would be like if I stopped on the side of the road and it wasn't my job and I took care of somebody to the best of my knowledge, I would be covered because I was just doing it as like a good neighbor, a good Samaritan, versus if it's in my job. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I don't think it'll have the reach here. And I'm not the lawyer in the room, but that's my feeling.
Well, I'm concerned because they talk about a supply of EpiPens. All the kids that I know, or the people I know who have some, horrible allergic reaction to something, they carry an EpiPen with them. They always have it with them. If you have bee stings or whatever else, so they can inject, they inject themselves. They know how to do it. So I don't know how much of a supply we need to have in schools. I think this should be available. And when they talk about having it covered by at least possible of the school day, I assume that when you have field practice, you go out and play, that you have a box with you, and in that box is it's an EpiPen. No?
Not now, not right now, no.
Okay.
No, it's most-
Madam Chair, I read lines 19 to 20. They basically want the school nurse to be the liaison to the principal's office to ensure there'll be some people in the building that know how to administer this. And if that's the case, they want whoever is designated to do this, they want to kind of coordinate who's where, when, why. So if it's 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 11 o'clock, they'll know who's likely where they would be. I think that's what they want the school nurse to do, is kind of be the calling the plays in the huddle, shall we say. When it comes, that's how I read that.
Yeah, I don't, man, I don't disagree with you, but saying as many hours of the day as possible, I think is where it's loose.
Right.
So if they're gonna say, so I'm 100% with you on who's the person who can do this, and the school nurse being the right person to make that decision with the principal. But should we require that they post the hours so that everybody knows when someone is on site? I don't want to get in the way of making EpiPens, defibrillators, tourniquets, all that stuff more available. I think that this largely is a good thing. I just feel like that's too open-ended and could present a problem, and that's all I want to tighten up.
I think if a school runs into a scenario where they just don't have personnel, if someone's not in that day, if they're on medical leave, whatever it is, that you may have gaps in the day. So the idea is for them to try to cover as many hours of the day as they can, and that should be their goal. If all the people leave at noontime that know how to do this, but that's probably not a good system set up, because you have the other half of the day.
Senator Sullivan?
So, couple suggestions. On line 19, maybe putting all designated assistive personnel, so it doesn't sound like there's just one. Also, I don't know if this is still true, but when my kids were in elementary school, the staff had to be certified in first aid. And so I don't know. So if that's the case, they all are, and EpiPen is part of that first aid. But to Senator Ward's statement, that some kids don't know that they have allergies until they're in a new environment. Like, they've never been stung by a bee, so they don't know. Or sometimes the second sting, right? The first sting, you don't have a reaction. The second sting is when it shows up, or new food or new cleaning products in the building, anything like that. So, and kids forget things. Kids,
So-
especially in my experience, boys forget, no offense, a lot of things. So, I think it's a good bill, and but I think we can clean up that last part a little bit to make it better.
So as the parent
wants to
of
clean
a
it up?
child who has a life-threatening allergy, when they went to public school, that epinephrine pen had to be within striking distance. And there had to be one at the nurse's office. And we also had to provide one in the classroom, because there was not enough time between exposure
Right.
and administration of epinephrine to wait for the nurse's office to get it out of a locked cabinet and bring it down. So, and when my child, would go out on a field trip or out to playing fields. If it was a school activity, then the school was responsible for it being in the backpack. And all of the teachers have a backpack that they have to bring with them because they also have children who have diabetes and have to have their blood sugar checked. And while they may not do all of those things in the classroom, in the event of an emergency where children have to be evacuated, that backpack has to go with the teacher because the teacher is who's responsible for those students, and you may not have access to the nurse's office. So this bill is a very, very good idea. As a, you know, as someone who has spent an inordinate amount of money, because you just get 2 in a packet, and if you have a child who plays a sport or does an after-school activity like theater or travels anywhere, we would have to have 8, because you got to leave 1 at school, you got to leave 2 at school, plus the sports, plus have 1 in your car, plus have 1 in places where your child is a lot. It's a financial burden on families who have to provide these, but shifting the burden to the school, we need to provide resources for that because they're very, very expensive, and they're still expensive. The cost has gone down, which is great, but they can still cost up to $300.
I agree with you that you cannot wait. You have to have
Can't
it
wait.
and do it immediately
Yeah.
because it's a crisis.
So this needs an appropriation, which I don't know why the Department of Education couldn't determine. I mean, it's a really good idea, this bill. And if we're requiring a policy to maintain a supply, then it's up to the school district to decide, do we keep 1 per child, 2 per child who is already diagnosed, plus the spares for the kid who we don't know has is exposed to the bee sting the second time, like Senator Sullivan mentioned, that you want to have that available. But I mean, best practice is really give Benadryl first before you use epinephrine. That's, well,
I know,
Yeah.
you're a mom, yeah.
Yeah.
You do it, I'm good with that, Senator Alshaw.
yeah, there's not harm in using the epinephrine, but yeah, usually the school, it's the accelerated blood.
Should we find out how
yeah.
much?
It costs money.
Yeah, I know it costs money, and I think we
Yeah.
could maybe find out how much. How much money do we need in order to fulfill this?
Well, if on line 1, a school district shall adopt a policy to maintain a supply.
Right.
So is that supply for every child who's diagnosed plus some, or just for the extras for that second exposure where, this
I'm
child,
thinking of
we didn't know this
emergencies,
kid
but-
has an allergy. Like,
And as you know, sometimes it takes 2 injections to
Right.
put the EpiPen. But when they testified, they did say there were free programs for it. And just a few years ago, we did pass a bill that said we had to have sanitary products in the school, and we put the burden on them to supply
Yep.
them, right? So it's not that we haven't done it before, but if there are free programs, I think that's probably why there isn't a fiscal note. Looking for a backup program is maybe something we can add.
Can I ask
Senator Francis.
so to my friend from
Defer to
24,
Senator
Yeah.
Adams for you.
would you provide those EpiPens to the school?
yeah, we had to.
So, all right. So I guess my question is, in the real world, is this going to be parents provide to the school and they have a supply, but it's reserved for just that student? So I think this is trying to have maybe just an extra supply, because, we're talking about a life or death situation.
Right.
You want to have some reserve there just in case someone forgets it, that, I don't know.
Again, sometimes when they go into a new environment like school, they have allergies that they didn't have before, right? So a lot of people that eat a certain way in their house, and they go into school and there's other additives and there's other things in there that they haven't been exposed to. And we heard that on the college level when I was in the House Education Committee, that in college they see a lot of anaphylaxis because of foods that they're eating there that they haven't had before. But also, they're very expensive, and sometimes parents just can't afford to send them with their kids because they have the ones at home that they have for the emergencies. So this is just a backup for those families too. If they shouldn't be, I can't even get in the conversation about how this is life-saving, it shouldn't be expensive.
I'd like to find out how much money is involved in this.
So I think to start it, none, because I said there are free programs that will do it. But I think that the concern is down the road, those programs could disappear and then where are they?
But that's what we have to know.
Yeah.
You know, 3 programs right now, but what about 5 years from now?
And that, and that's where, in the hearing, I talked about possibly putting the same language in here that we did for the sports emergency action
Like,
bill with the AEDs, so that there was a fund, because these are expensive. So it creates that, that fund for, you know, for gifting or grants that brings it, you know, non-lapsing. And it just, it creates a backup plan to this. And the only other thing that, you know, the only other thing that it would be nice to address, but I think this could be done informally, but I want to just get it out there, is that, you know, because these are so expensive, when we first started carrying them, we used to give an epinephrine on the ambulances subcutaneously, not intramuscularly through EpiPens. We would draw up a dose and give it. And we went to EpiPens because it's a safety thing. It's very precise. But the cost way jumped up. So what we started doing was working, like rotating the supply by expiration date through ambulances, as well as working with the local medical resource hospital as long as there was a written agreement. These are all things that can, you know, go on the record and be crafted later, so that these smaller school districts and their local ambulance service and the hospital can maybe work something out. But I think having that gift, that language, that I think, trying to remember who helped me. It was the fish and game language that I brought into the AED bill. We bring it in here, creates that. There's the backup plan into perpetuity.
So you're back on track now.
I'm getting there.
That's a
I'm
big word.
finding my groove.
That was 763, was the sports-related injury one? No? Or no, that's, we're talking,
So Senator Prentice, did you?
No, I did it.
Oh,
We just
this
did it
year.
with Representative Dry's bill. So we did the action plan last year requiring the AEDs to be readily available. People having training for CPR at school-sponsored events between, I think it was 6th grade and 12th grade. This would be, so Representative Dry came in with language for an appropriation for schools that she was concerned didn't have AEDs or needed new ones. And then we put the language onto that added the fund. I'm just gonna call
no,
it that.
you did that.
This is from Senator.
So we can use that. All right, yeah,
but it has your name on it.
yeah. I just,
So that was for 760, is that what you're referencing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you would want to add that language,
yeah, I
essentially.
just change the language to say, Senator Abbas, I want to use this language, but put EpiPen in there, or epinephrine. I'd maybe need like, it's need more than 5 minutes probably to make sure we get it right. And I
And
want to
then
run it
add-
through OLS.
And then add all in that last part. Where did I see it? Oh, on page 19, all designated assistive personnel, and maybe say to ensure all hours of the school day are covered.
But I don't know if we can attach this without me having it drawn up. I want to just make sure I get the right language in here. So can we just hold this to the next time we exec, and I will work to expedite an amendment.
Is you'll write an amendment
Yeah,
for the,
I will.
for the gifting, okay?
I gotta get out my sticky notes, yeah. I'm gonna send this back across.
Hopefully we'll be interested to- Be
We'll
good
meet
to,
you halfway.
I was gonna turn into an airplane and just,
I think we should find out also, at least check with a couple of schools and find out what they already do, what they already have for EpiPens and treatment of kids with,
I have a
And-
friend
and
who's a
it's
school nurse
elective.
I can ask her.
okay? So we'll hold off on 677.
I'll work to turn that around.
I'll go on fact finding and Senator Prentice will go on the amendment. How's that?
That is fair, thank you. Notes to myself.
And you wanted to go back?
I wanted to, 90, and because again, I'm sorry that I missed that, but I've been involved in this conversation about part-time teachers for a few years now. So I wanted to,
You went on here, but 10 is a hold.
and as a whole.
10 is hold. We did not discuss
Oh,
that.
okay, that's great.
There's too many things going on.
In order to, I think we've got to probably procedurally have a motion for reconsideration before I can ask my question, or can I just ask a question?
Yeah, we would need to do an official reconsideration.
Get it, yeah.
So I'd
You
like,
gotta turn your thing on.
oh. all right. I'd like to ask for a motion for reconsideration on House Bill 90.
Are you making the motion or?
I'm making the
asking for a
motion.
Okay.
I am making a motion for reconsideration on House Bill 90.
Could be wrong, but I believe it has to be from
Chair?
either the chair or the majority.
Oh, the majority. I will make a motion to reconsider on, House Bill 90.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you. So my question is on Representative Ladd's amendment. Did you adopt this?
No.
Okay. Can,
That was not enough support.
I think you have to reintroduce, we have to reintroduce.
okay. Because I'd like to introduce this. I know you gave me the option for reconsideration, which I appreciate, but
Go for it.
so may I make a motion to reintroduce reintroduce amendment 2025-1514H.
90.
And we need a second on,
Second. What is this note? Is that in memorandum? Okay.
What's the amendment number?
is 1514. Yeah, 1514H.
In,
So this is authorizing, is authorized to teach an approved college dual or concurrent enrollment course in the high school that is the same quality and rigor of courses offered on campus at the sponsoring college or university.
Yeah, that was Ladd's amendment.
It was Ladd's amendment, Representative Ladd's amendment, and I'm partial to this because he and I have, we've not always been on the same side of this issue, but we've been talking about this for at least 3 years. And I appreciated his approach to this. And so I wanted to just see if I wanted to get that back out there.
Do we have reversed the earlier vote?
Well, we'd have to take a new vote
so,
for the reconsideration.
so I think we need a new ought to pass, and then we have to offer the amendment again, and then vote on it again.
So we've got a motion for reconsideration, and so now you're saying a motion for ought to pass, and then a motion for the amendment.
You gotta then offer the amendment, then we vote on the amendment, and either ought to pass.
And then
or
go
ought to
back
pass.
to the underlying as a OTPA. All right.
Reconsideration was allowed, so is there a motion of ought to pass?
In a second.
Did you move on to pass?
Discussion of,
Oh,
Motion of ought to
move.
pass.
new discussion on ought to pass.
Someone make a
Where
motion.
are we?
Someone needs to make a motion for ought to pass.
I think
Senator
Senator
Abbas
Abbas just
did.
did.
Ought to pass.
And I second it
There we
on the
go.
bill. Now we
Okay.
have the amendment.
So
Now you introduce the amendment.
Chair Ward, I'd like to introduce Amendment 2025-1514H.
Wait. You may speak to your amendment.
Thank you, Chair Ward. I've been part of this discussion for a few years. I appreciate the work that Representative Ladd has done to what I believe is just put more rigor and definition in the language for item D. So that's why I support it.
Okay.
And I think that it's good, having been in, this has an implication for some of the public safety courses that we're talking about. And I was also a kid that had to leave high school early to go to college so I could continue to, my father passed away. I had to do with Social Security benefits, but we were able to do this dual concurrent so that I started getting college credits while also finishing out high school. So there's a connection there that I can appreciate.
Okay.
Okay.
Further discussion? A motion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
So that's
3,
4-1.
4.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed. There's only one opposed?
Yeah.
Are you still opposing?
No.
No, okay, so it's 4-1. Okay, let's get back to the underlying there. So we are taking, so that's, you have that change? You have his D, and we place that in, put that in the D in the bill. Okay. So the underlying bill ought to pass second, and with the amendment, all those in favor of the bill with the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Are you in favor?
Yeah,
Bill?
yeah, I'll
You in
take
favor of the bill? Senator Alschilling?
No.
No. So that's 4-1. Okay, putting this on consent?
Move for consent?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of consent?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye. No. So that's consent is 4-1. Who was taking that out? Were you taking it out? Somebody was taking it out, Ryan, right?
Yeah,
I
before
don't
it
see it.
was,
Sullivan's taking it out? Okay.
Have to take it out with the amendment. I don't know. Thanks.
Maybe Senator Prentice wants to.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think that is
I'm happy to
probably,
pick up some of the
Senator
work
Prentice
here.
because
Is that messing you up, Brian? Do I need to take it
I
out?
just want to
All
know
right.
who is taking it out. You guys get to decide.
So, Chair Ward, I'd be happy to take this out.
okay,
Thank you.
we'll switch from Sullivan to Prentice.
we're even.
Okay, I think that is it. I don't have any others that I think are ready for it. There'll be some later on with it, so. Don't have
It's okay, I'm just talking. to myself.
anything else that you want to take out that you think is ready? If
No.
not, I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So, second.
All those in favor of getting out of executive session?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None.
It's the economic-
Senate Education is out
It was not on the
of
original
executive
list.
session.
On that one, you were back. Jump right on that.
Six, seven,
It's 2
seven.
hours before my event.
I'll take care of that. Go to, back to HHS. I think so. I think
Attendance
so.
those days.
All right.
What's
I know
going on
we
at
can make it now, but
HHS?
You'll miss it Sunday.
The problem is the parents are all on their phones.
We can work with hand signals, and we haven't known each other that long. Kindred spirits is all, because I'm like, I realize I don't